They say some places don't exist on any map, in any city, or in any world you can touch. Some places open only for those who are lost enough or brave enough to wander into them. And one of those places is the night market, a place whispered about in old folklore, drawn only in forgotten symbols, and visited only in dreams. Most people dismiss it as myth, a hallucination, a strange nightmare you forget after sunrise. But I didn't forget, because the first night I walked into the night market, I wasn't dreaming, or at least, it didn't feel like a dream. It started with a sound, a soft bell, like the kind you hear at an old shop door, except this one echoed through my entire room. Ting, ting, ting. I opened my eyes. My bedroom was dark, quiet, the same as always. But something was off. There was a faint blue glow seeping from under my wardrobe. Not like a reflection, not like moonlight. It pulsed, soft, rhythmic, almost alive. I froze. My wardrobe door had been closed when I went to sleep. Now it was open just an inch, just enough to breathe out that strange blue light. Then the bell rang again. Ting, ting, ting. Came from inside the wardrobe. My heart slammed against my ribs. Part of me wanted to turn on the lights, but a deeper part, something instinctual, whispered, "Don't move." But curiosity is a dangerous thing. I sat up slowly, staring at the wardrobe like it might blink or speak. The glow grew brighter, and then a soft gust of wind blew out from inside it. Wind. From a wardrobe. My room grew cold as the air rushed past me, carrying the smell of rain, smoke, spices, and something sweet, like flowers that don't grow anywhere on earth. Then, a voice whispered, a child's voice, very close. "It's open. Come before it closes." I shot to my feet, but the voice didn't come from the room. It came from the other side of the wardrobe. The blue glow flickered, stretching out like a thin veil, and behind it, I could see movement, shadows, lanterns, something that looked like a street. I stepped closer. My breath fogged the air. The wardrobe now felt enormous, as if it didn't hold clothes anymore, but a passage somewhere else. The first glimpse. When I pulled the wardrobe door open wider, the entire room tilted, like reality itself shifted. The glow burst into full brightness. Inside, there was no back wall. Instead, there was a narrow alley lit by thousands of floating lanterns drifting in the air like fireflies wearing tiny hats. The floor was cobblestone. The air tasted metallic and warm, and a single wooden arch stood at the alley entrance with glowing text carved into it. The night market. Open only while you dream. I blinked, rubbing my eyes, but it didn't disappear. I should have screamed. I should have run. But something in that place felt like it was calling me, like I had been expected. Then the bell chimed again, louder. Ting, ting. A wave of warm wind rushed over me. Suddenly, the fear melted away, replaced by a strange feeling, a mix of nostalgia and longing. Like this wasn't the first time I'd stood here, just the first time I remembered. Without realizing, I stepped inside, crossing over. The moment my foot touched the cobblestone, the wardrobe door slammed shut behind me. The sound echoed like thunder. I spun around, grabbing the handle, but the wardrobe had vanished. In its place was just a wall of black stone, dripping with faint silver patterns like veins of moonlight. "No, no, no. This isn't happening," I whispered. But then I looked forward, and the alley opened into a world so impossibly vivid that it stole the air from my lungs. Lanterns floated overhead in swirling constellations. Stalls stretched endlessly, each glowing with neon signs in languages I couldn't read. Creatures moved between them, some human, some not quite, all dressed in clothes from centuries that never existed. A soft hum flowed through the place, like the night market had a heartbeat. And right then, I knew this wasn't a dream. This was a place built from dreams. A marketplace where the items sold weren't objects. They were memories, moments, feelings, whispers, dreams bottled, traded, stolen, bought, forgotten. But before I could process the shock, someone grabbed my shoulder. I whipped around. A tall figure in a long coat, face hidden under a hood, stood inches from me. I couldn't see their eyes, but I felt them. Their voice was low, sharp, and urgent. "You shouldn't be here." My throat tightened. I don't understand. What is this place?" The figure leaned closer. "A mistake. If you entered the market awake, then you're already in danger." Asterisk, asterisk. My heart slammed. What danger? The figure didn't answer. Instead, their gloved hand dropped something into mine. A small metallic token, rough, cold, etched with the same symbols as the arch. When the bells stopped ringing, the stranger whispered, "Run. And whatever you do, don't look at the vendor in the black tent." I looked down at the token. When I looked back up, the stranger was gone, vanished like smoke. The bells begin. The ground trembled. A distant gong echoed across the glowing streets. The lanterns dimmed for a heartbeat, then flared up again as a chilling voice boomed across the entire market. "The night market is now open. Shoppers, choose wisely." And suddenly every stall lit up. Creatures rushed around me. Bright lights, whispers, laughter, shadows. It all blended together like a dream unraveling too fast. I clutched the token, but something at the far end of the street caught my eye. A tent, black as ink. No signboard, no lanterns, just a single entrance open like a mouth. And inside, a faint glow pulsed. The same blue glow that had leaked from my wardrobe. The same glow that called me. The same glow I was warned to avoid. The bells continued to ring, faster and faster. The market's heartbeat quickened. Something was starting. Something big. Something dangerous. And I was standing at the center of it, awake in a world where no awake person should ever be. The bells echoed again. Deep, metallic, almost alive, vibrating through the cobblestones beneath my feet. Gong, gong, gong. The entire night market responded like a creature waking from sleep. Lanterns pulsed brighter. Shadows stretched longer. The air thickened with the smell of incense, smoke, night flowers, and something sweet, like burnt sugar drifting across a cold wind. Everyone around me moved with purpose. Creatures in cloaks, people with glowing eyes, vendors with masks carved from bone or crystal. Some floated, some walked, some crawled. But every single one seemed to know exactly where they were going. Except me. I stood frozen, clutching the strange metal token the hooded stranger had slipped into my hand. The surface felt warm now, like it was reacting to something, like it was alive. I turned it over. A single symbol pulsed faintly, the same glowing mark I'd seen above the wardrobe door, the same as the archway. A swirling spiral with a sharp edge cutting through it. Felt familiar, too familiar, as if I'd seen it long before this night. But then, a cold breeze swept past my ear, and a whisper followed. "You're being watched." I froze. Slowly I turned. Far down the market path, the black tent stood silently, untouched by any light. Everything glowed around it except that one place, as if it absorbed all color, all warmth, all life. Something inside moved. A tall shadow, human-shaped but wrong. The silhouette stood perfectly still, facing me. I swallowed. My skin crawled. That was the exact tent the stranger warned me never to look at. And yet here I was, staring at it. The market unfolds. First time here? A cheerful voice chirped beside me. I flinched. A small vendor stepped into my path. A woman barely 5 feet tall, wrapped in shimmering layers of silk. Her eyes sparkled like stars caught in glass jars. On her table were dozens of tiny vials filled with swirling fog, each a different color. "What are those?" I asked. She smiled widely. "Dreams, of course." She held up a vial, the fog inside glowing gold. "This one is a memory of someone's happiest childhood moment. Want to buy it? You look like someone who needs a little happiness." My throat tightened. How do you get them?" "Oh, we don't take them," she said, laughing softly. "People give them away. They forget voluntarily." She leaned closer. "But not always for the right reasons." I stepped back. The bells rang again, faster this time, urgent. The vendor's eyes suddenly shifted. Her smile vanished. She lowered her voice. "You should go back, human." My heart dropped. "You know I'm awake," she whispered sharply. "You're awake in a place that devours awakeness. The market has rules, and you've already broken one." "Which rule?" She didn't answer. Her hand trembled as she pointed behind me. I turned. The shadow inside the black tent was no longer still. It was slowly, deliberately, stepping out. My stomach churned. "I didn't go near it," I whispered. "You looked," she said. "That's enough." A wave of cold dread washed over me. The bells stopped. Completely. A silence heavier than stone filled the air. Every vendor stopped speaking. Every creature froze. Every lantern dimmed to a faint glow. And then, as if someone had peeled the sky open, the market shifted. The colors drained. The air thickened. A low rumbling swept beneath my feet. A voice echoed. Not from speakers, not from vendors, from the market itself. "An awakened one has entered. The hunt begins." The hunter, from the black tent. A tall, impossibly thin figure stepped out. A long coat hung from its shoulders. Its head was covered with a mask carved from something dark. Not wood, not stone, something older. Something that felt like bone soaked in shadow. But worst of all were its eyes. 2 white glowing slits. Not round, not human. Thin like cuts made by a razor. The hunter. I didn't know how I knew its name. But I knew. Every dreamer feared it. Every vendor avoided it. This was the creature that hunted those who entered the market awake. And its eyes were locked on me. My legs turned to ice. "Move," whispered the tiny vendor urgently. "Run. I don't know where. Anywhere. Just not here." But I couldn't move. My body refused. The hunter raised one long finger and pointed at me. Instantly, the lights around us dimmed even further. Shadows crawled across the ground like living ink, stretching toward my feet. The market was coming alive in a different way. Not magical, not whimsical, but hungry. Then something unexpected happened. A hand grabbed my wrist. "This way. Now." I spun around. It was a young boy, maybe 12, maybe 13. Hair messy, eyes sharp, clothes torn like he'd been running for weeks. He looked human. He wasn't glowing, floating, flickering, or shifting like the others. "Who are you?" I whispered. "No time," he hissed. "Trust me or die." He yanked my arm and pulled me into a side alley just as the hunter took its first step toward me. The ground shuddered. The lanterns flickered violently, almost bursting. Shadows lunged forward like claws, trying to grab my ankles. We sprinted. The boy dragged me through twisting alleys lined with strange stalls, smoke-filled tents, jars of bottled nightmares, glowing ink that whispered your fears back to you. Every turn felt like it shifted behind us. The market was rearranging itself, chasing us, hunting me. The alley of forgotten names. We slipped into a narrow passage lit by dim purple fire. The walls were covered in writing, thousands of names scratched into metal plates. The boy pressed me against the wall. "Don't breathe loud. Don't move." "Where are we?" I whispered. "The alley of forgotten names," he said quietly. "Everyone who loses themselves in the market ends up here. Their names stay, but they don't." "What does that mean?" He looked at the ground. "You don't want to know." I swallowed hard. "Why are you helping me?" He sucked in a shaky breath. "Because I know what you're looking for." I froze. "What?" "The door that opened in your room," he said. "It opened because you've been here before. Long ago. Before you forgot." My chest tightened. A strange flash hit my mind. A memory I couldn't fully see. A lantern. A cold hand. A promise whispered in darkness. But then, a thud shook the ground. The hunter had found the alley. The boy grabbed my arm again. "We need to go. When it enters this alley, everything changes." "What changes?" He didn't answer. Instead, he whispered something that sent a chill straight through my bones. "The hunter doesn't walk here. It floats. And when it floats, it's faster." The chase begins. A screech ripped through the alley, high, unnatural, metallic. The purple flames flickered violently. Shadows twisted like snakes, crawling up the walls. The boy's eyes widened. "It's here. Run now." I ran. The purple alley warped around us like a maze, breathing in and out. The sound of scraping claws, no, not claws, something worse, echoed behind me. The hunter's mask glowed through the darkness like two burning slits. We tore through the passage. Left, right, down a staircase made of drifting stone. Through a tunnel lit by floating orbs that whispered secrets in forgotten tongues. But the hunter was gaining. I could feel its presence like ice breath against my neck. "Where are we going?" I gasped. "To the only place the hunter won't follow," the boy said. His voice cracked. "But it's dangerous in a different way." "Where?" He pointed ahead. A faint golden glow pulsed at the end of the corridor. Beautiful, warm, almost soothing. "That," he whispered, "is the memory vault." My chest tightened. "What's in there?" The boy slowed to a stop, his breathing sharp, frightened. "Your past. The truth. And the reason the night market opened for you while you were awake." Behind us, the hunter screamed. The vault door began to open, and everything inside me felt like it was being pulled toward it. The golden light spilling from the memory vault door felt wrong. Not dangerous, not threatening, inviting. That was what scared me most. The hunter's scream echoed behind us, tearing through the corridors like metal dragged across glass. The boy slammed his hand against the vault door, pushing with all his strength. "Go," he hissed. "Once it closes, it can't enter." I didn't ask questions. I ran. The moment I crossed the threshold, the door sealed behind me with a soundless finality. The screaming cut off instantly, as if someone had ripped sound itself from the air. Silence. Not the empty kind, the heavy kind. The kind that presses into your chest and makes you aware of your own thoughts. I turned slowly. The memory vault was vast, far larger than it had any right to be. The walls curved upward into a glowing dome, etched with moving symbols that shimmered like living constellations. Thousands of golden threads floated through the air, each one pulsing gently, connecting fragments of light scattered throughout the chamber. They weren't lights. They were memories. Some hovered as full scenes, frozen moments suspended in time. Others existed as faint silhouettes, blurred and half-formed, like dreams on the edge of forgetting. I took a step forward. The floor beneath me rippled, responding like water under glass. "Careful," the boy said behind me. I spun around. "You came in," I whispered. He nodded, eyes scanning the vault nervously. "It won't stay locked forever." I swallowed. "What is this place?" He hesitated, then answered quietly. "Where the market keeps what it steals and what it hides." I turned back to the floating memories. One of them drifted closer. A small bedroom, yellow walls, a single bed with star-patterned sheets. My breath caught. It was my childhood room. I stepped closer. The memory shifted, unfolding like mist. I was 8 years old, sitting on the bed, holding a lantern made of paper and wire. Its light glowed the same blue I'd seen leaking from my wardrobe that night. A voice echoed from the memory, soft, familiar. "Just close your eyes," it said, "and don't let go." My chest tightened painfully. "I remember this," I whispered, "but I don't remember how I got the lantern." The boy's voice was steady but sad. "You didn't get it. You were given it." The first visit. The vault reacted to my words. More memories drifted toward me, forming a circle. I saw myself younger, much younger, standing in a place I now recognized instantly. The night market. But it looked different then. Brighter, warmer, safer. Lanterns glowed softly, vendors smiled. Laughter floated through the air like music. There was no black tent, no hunter, and beside me was the boy. Only he wasn't a boy. He was my age. We walked together through the market, laughing, trading tokens for small dreams, harmless ones, flying, running faster than light, finding lost toys. "You came here often," the boy said quietly. "You just forgot." I shook my head. "No, I would remember this." "You weren't supposed to," he replied. One memory zoomed forward, sharper than the rest. The sky over the market darkened. Lanterns flickered violently. Vendors ran. A deep, echoing voice boomed. "The rules have been broken." The black tent appeared. The hunter stepped out for the first time. I staggered back as the memory froze. "That was the night everything changed," the boy said. "The night you made a deal." My heart slammed. "A deal with who?" He looked up at me. "With the market." The deal. The vault dimmed. One memory remained, glowing brighter than all the others. I approached it slowly. In the scene, I stood trembling before a massive stone structure carved with the same symbols as my token. The market's voice surrounded me, deep and echoing from everywhere at once. "You wish to stay." My younger self nodded desperately. "I don't want to go back," I said. "My world hurts." The market was silent for a long moment. Then, "Every dream has a price." The scene shifted. The boy, my friend, stood beside me unaware. "You can stay," the market said, "but someone must replace you." My stomach twisted violently. "No," I whispered. "I wouldn't." But the memory didn't listen. My younger self turned to the boy. He looked confused, trusting. And then, the deal was sealed. The market took him. The world trembled. The black tent formed. The hunter was born. I screamed, stumbling backward, clutching my head. "No, no, I didn't know. I was just a kid." The boy's voice cut through my panic. "You didn't know what it would become," he said quietly. "But you knew it would cost someone." I looked at him. His eyes glowed faintly now, no longer fully human. "What are you?" I whispered. His expression softened. "I'm what's left of him," he said. "The one you replaced." My knees buckled. "You were trapped here because of me." "Yes," he said simply. "And so were you. Just differently." The truth of awakening. The vault began to tremble. Cracks of darkness spread across the glowing dome. The boy grabbed my arm. "The market is waking up," he said urgently. "You've been asleep for years. But tonight, you woke up." "What happens now?" I asked. His grip tightened. "Now the market wants its balance back." The memory threads snapped violently, one by one. A familiar screech echoed through the vault walls. "The hunter, finding us. The only way to end this," the boy said, voice shaking, "is to undo the deal." My heart pounded. "How?" He looked at me, eyes full of something that looked like hope. "You have to choose again." The vault floor split open, revealing two glowing paths. One led back toward my bedroom, toward waking life, toward forgetting. The other spiraled deeper into the night market, toward the black tent, the hunter, and the truth no one had ever survived facing. The market's voice echoed one final time. "Choose. One stays. One leaves." The boy stepped back. "Whatever you choose," he said softly, "this world will never be the same again." Behind us, the vault doors shattered. The hunter screamed, and I stood between the two paths, knowing the next step would decide who gets to wake up. The ground beneath my feet pulsed, alive with possibility and threat. Two paths stretched before me, glowing softly in opposite directions. One felt familiar, warm, the path back to my bedroom, back to mornings and noise and unfinished thoughts, back to a life where the night market would fade into something I'd question, then forget. The other path was cold, endless, a spiral sinking deeper into the market, toward the black tent, the hunter, and a truth that had waited years for me to face it. The market didn't rush me. It never did. It waited the way old things do, confident that time always bends in their favor. The boy stood beside me, silent now. "I never meant for this," I whispered. "I know," he said. "That's why you were allowed to wake up." Behind us, the hunter's presence pressed closer, bending the air. The shadows crawled across the broken vault floor, stretching toward us like fingers eager to close. "If I leave," I asked quietly, "what happens to you?" The boy didn't answer. He didn't need to. I looked down at the token still clenched in my hand. Its glow was fading, like a dying ember. I understood then. The market hadn't opened for me because of curiosity. It opened because it was time. I stepped toward the darker path. The boy's breath caught. "You don't have to," he said. "You can forget everything again. The market will survive without its balance." "But you won't," I said. He looked away. The hunter screamed. The sound tore through the chamber, shaking the glowing paths violently. I moved faster. The black tent. The air grew colder with every step. The spiral path narrowed until it deposited me before the black tent. Up close, it was worse. The fabric wasn't cloth. It shifted like shadow made solid, absorbing light, warmth, and courage. The entrance hung open, breathing slowly, like a lung waiting to fill. The hunter stood beside it now, motionless. Up close, I could see the cracks in its mask, fractures glowing faintly with the same blue light that once came from my childhood lantern. "You were never meant to be this," I whispered. The hunter tilted its head. For the first time, I felt something from it. Not anger, pain. The market's voice echoed around us, softer now. "The debt remains." I stepped forward, heart pounding. "I made the deal," I said. "Not him. Take me instead." The shadows froze. The hunter's glowing eyes flickered. The boy's voice echoed behind me. "No." The market considered. "Old things always do. A swap is possible. One memory for one soul." I swallowed hard. "All of them," I said. "Take every memory of the market. Erase it completely." The tent pulsed. The hunter staggered. And you will never return. I nodded. I don't want to. The release. The hunter stepped toward me. Slowly. Its mask cracked down the center, splitting open like a shell. Inside, a face. Young. Familiar. The boy's face. Older now, worn by time and silence. My chest shattered. I'm sorry, I whispered. His eyes softened. He reached out, placing his hand over the glowing token in my palm. The light surged. The market screamed. The shadows collapsed inward, folding like paper set on fire. The black tent dissolved into smoke. The hunter collapsed, then rose again, human now, breathing hard, terrified, alive. The boy, no, the man, staggered back, clutching his chest. Sound rushed back into the world like a tidal wave. The market trembled violently. The balance is restored. The spiral path beneath us cracked open. The ground vanished. I fell. Waking, I woke up gasping. Morning light poured into my bedroom. Birds chirped outside. The hum of my fan filled the air. Normal. Ordinary. My wardrobe stood closed. Solid. Just a wardrobe. My heart raced as I stumbled out of bed, throwing the doors open. Clothes. Nothing else. No blue glow. No lantern. No door. I stood there shaking, convinced it had all been a dream, until I felt something in my pocket. A small metal token. Cold. Blank. No symbols. Just smooth, empty metal. I dropped it onto my dresser. It made no sound. Epilogue. Weeks passed. Then months. Life moved on. But sometimes, late at night, when the house is quiet, and the silence feels just a little too perfect, I swear I hear a bell. Soft, distant, ting, and I remember nothing, which is exactly what the market promised. Because some places don't need to be remembered. They just need to be closed. For now.